Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Is Owned by D'Antonio podcast. We're going to get right into this with a Michigan fan. Chris, how's it going?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
So, Michigan State just won the outright Big Ten title. How'd you feel about that?
That means absolutely nothing. Conference championship is what matters.
It is a
Nothing to
conference cha-
celebrate.
It is a conference
No,
championship. It is a conference championship. They put up a banner.
the conference tournament is what matters.
Mm. They both matter, but the regular season matters
No,
way more.
regular season does not matter.
That's ridiculous. So, how do you feel about Michigan State's national championship odds? How do you feel like they'll do in the tournament?
Well, to me, they're a pretty good team, but I don't think they're really built for March. I think they're probably out either in the round of 32 or in the Sweet 16. I think Michigan, with the way they've played lately, they're going to be a team that I see in the Final Four.
Oh, really? Is that
Yes.
true? Well, let's look at some stats of Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan right now is 68th in the country in shooting percentage.
Who?
Michigan,
Okay.
they are 257th in rebounding, 200th in blocks,
Yep.
161 in steals. They are what else are they? Free throw percentage, they're number 328 in free throw percentage out of like 360.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like those stats are going to do in March?
Well, I feel like there's been teams in the past that have had maybe some poor stats in different categories. And by the way, you chose those categories very carefully. There were other ones you could have chosen.
Oh, no, they're all in the bottom, all of them. Except for
Look,
assist to turnover ratio, they're number 6 there.
we don't turn the ball over. We don't turn the ball over. We don't foul. And that free throw percentage, we rarely shoot free throws anyways.
Oh, really? You're still
Rockman,
you're still in the bottom 1% in free throws.
Rockman and Wagner are turning into very reliable scorers. You have a superstar, soon-to-be superstar off the bench, Jordan Poole.
Oh, really? Jordan Poole, man, what a great player.
He's been averaging like 15 in the last few games. He's a freshman off the bench.
All right, Crit. All right, so I'll compare some of those stats to some of Michigan State stats. So, Michigan State is number 23 in points per game. They're number 1 in assists a game, number 4 in total rebounds per game, number 3 in shooting percentage, number 1 in blocks. So, how could this team be a second round team?
Well, yet we beat you. So what's your rebuttal to that? We beat you. We beat Ohio State. You guys got
Nope.
blocked.
No, we beat ourselves. You didn't beat us.
Oh, we did.
Nope.
We beat you.
Listen, we turned the ball over like 20 times. You took advantage of it. I'll give you that.
That's what we do. John Beeline knows how to coach his team, take advantage of the other team's mistakes. We won that game.
Oh, really? No, you did not.
Yes, we did.
Nope. Michigan State lost the game. They had a lead in the second half, and they gave it up because of turnovers.
I don't care. We won the game.
Yeah, my personal opinion is Michigan is probably going to get upset in the first or second round because the free throws.
All right. If we win the Big Ten tournament, we're going to be a 2 seed. No 15 seed is upsetting us.
Well, I'll talk about my Big Ten tournament predictions in just a second, but
Wait a second. Didn't the 15 seed upset you guys a couple of years ago?
yes, they did. They absolutely did.
Oh,
But they're totally different teams. I mean, there are 3 players from this team that were on that team, so I would say it's pretty different. So yeah, and I think Michigan State's going to win the national championship.
Okay, that's a matter of opinion. That's a false opinion. So
Listen,
yeah,
I think Michigan and Michigan State are going to play in the Big Ten tournament, and it's going to be a close game. But because of free throws, Michigan State's going to win.
So you are picking Michigan to beat, I didn't even look, whatever crap team they play in the first round, and Nebraska?
Yeah, I think you'll beat Nebraska. You should beat Nebraska.
I can't believe I was very surprised that Nebraska was able to beat Penn State. Now they're ahead of us.
Penn State's packed it in.
Now we have to play like Iowa or something. Iowa, Illinois.
Oh, Illinois, I think. Man, these stats are pretty bad. I mean, come on.
What? What stats?
All of them. They're like 200.
Oh yeah, and we're 23-7.
Yep, you're 40th in 2-point percentage, 68th in shooting percentage.
And we're looking at worst, a 6 seed in the tournament.
Yeah, but you could get upset by Nebraska and move down to 7. So
No, if we get upset by Nebraska, that's implying that's beating Iowa or Illinois.
oh, you might get upset by Illinois. Who knows?
That's not. There's a 0% chance of that happening.
Listen, Illinois is a tough team. They play everybody tough. Yes, they are.
They're horrible.
They should have beat Purdue.
Yeah, but they didn't because they sucked.
Well, they do have that Frazier guy who can put up 30 a night.
We already beat Illinois, so there's nothing there. We've already beaten all these 4 teams that are below us. Man, but as you said earlier in the year, Rutgers, you were calling them a tournament team. So let's just throw back to that.
Well, Rutgers, they didn't live up to expectations this year.
When do that?
I mean, they play good teams tough. They just suck against bad teams.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Oh, come on. I know they shoot like 30% a game, but, they had the number 1 defense in the Big Ten.
And how far did that get them?
3-15. But again, Michigan, free throws. It's going to come down to that. You're going to have to make free throws against somebody, and you're going to start missing them. They'll do a hack of Simpson.
If that happens, if that happens in a game and it's starting to slip away, if they start hacking Simpson, one of 2 things will happen. One, he will replace Simpson with Poole. 2, they will just have Rockmont bring the ball up, and they will give him the ball and not give the ball to Simpson.
Well, why does Simpson even play anyways? He's terrible.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's awful.
He's a big time. He's a great floor general.
If I'm Izzo, I take the guy who's guarding Simpson and I double team Wagner because Simpson can't shoot for anything.
Okay, what do you do with Rockmont?
What?
What do you do with Rockmont?
Oh, Rockmont. You put Joshua Langford on him, he'll shut him down.
Oh, yeah, all right.
All right, any last words?
What do you think Michigan State's going to win the Big Ten tournament?
I do. I think they'll win the Big Ten tournament. Yes.
I think they're going to get slaughtered by Ohio State in the championship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do think we're going to lose. I think we're going to lose to you guys.
Ohio State has to play Penn State in the second round. They're going to lose.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
We're going to lose. I really do think we're going to lose to you guys in the semifinals because we've already beaten you this year. So.
Oh, but we're gonna be out in the second round.
Yes, you will be.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
You will be.
Okay, Chris, thank you.
No problem, Mike.
Okay. All right, so that was a stupid Michigan fan. All right, so let's move on to my Big Ten tournament predictions. Let's start with the first game, Minnesota against Illinois. Once again, I think this is the standings that are going to happen, but I know Iowa is still playing somebody. I think they're playing Northwestern right now, but they're winning, so I think this is how it's going to be. There could be some switching at the end, but I know for a fact the 1 through 8, 1 through 9 is already set. It's the 11, 12, 13, 14 teams that are not set right now. So let's start with Illinois against Minnesota. Minnesota. Yeah, Illinois against Minnesota. I like Illinois in this game. Minnesota's already packed it in. Illinois, they're a tough defensive team. Final score, 86-73. Illinois defeats Minnesota. Next game will be Iowa against Rutgers. Rutgers, just a terrible team this year. Iowa, bad team too, but at least Iowa can score a bit. So it's 73-68. I'm going to take Iowa in this game. Iowa will take on Indiana in the second round. All right, let's do Maryland and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's playing great basketball right now. Maryland, not so much. I like Wisconsin in this game. 69-59 over Maryland. Next, I believe we're going to do Penn State Northwestern. Northwestern, another team that seemed to packed it in after the Michigan State loss. So I like that. I like Penn State over Northwestern pretty handily, 83-78. But you never know. Northwestern, they trying to get back to their second consecutive tournament. They might play a little bit better. So I'll take Penn State over Northwestern. So that would match Penn State against Ohio State for round number 3. Next, we'll do Iowa against Indiana. Final score 78-67. I like Indiana in the game. Iowa's just not ready to play on Indiana's level yet. Iowa can score, but they don't play any defense. So I'll take Indiana. That would match up the two Indiana rivals, Purdue and Indiana. Michigan against Illinois. 80-72. Michigan could have some troubles with Illinois because the ball pressure. But right now, Michigan's just playing too good right now to lose the game. So Michigan will take on Nebraska. Speaking of Michigan and Nebraska, I think Michigan's going to beat Nebraska. It's going to be a close game. 78-76. Michigan defeats Nebraska to take on Michigan State in the next round. I like this because Michigan, they do have some good players on their team like Wagner and Marr. So some good players. We'll see what happens there. But they did lose to Nebraska earlier this year in a blowout fashion, but I think Michigan's playing too well right now. All right, next game I believe is Purdue and Indiana. In-state rivals, keeping it close. I think Purdue will pull it off, though. I feel like Indiana might win the game, but no, I'm just going to say Purdue's going to win it 83-81. Ohio State against Penn State. Well, I can't go against past history. Penn State's beaten Ohio State 2 times earlier. I like Penn State again over Ohio State, 78-74. They'll move on there. We have our semifinals matchups. Oh, and then there's the score of the Michigan State-Wisconsin game. I think Michigan State will win, and I think Wisconsin will once again keep it close. It'll be a similar game to today's game where Michigan State defeated Wisconsin. But it is on a neutral floor, so Michigan State should win by a bit more, but they'll keep it close in that one. Sets up the semifinals matchups. Penn State and Purdue. I think this game's close. 80-75. I like Purdue over Penn State. Penn State just doesn't run good enough offense to beat Purdue. And they don't play good enough defense either. I know they kept it close. They were a shot away from putting it into overtime in Mackey earlier, but I like Purdue in that one. Michigan State, Michigan, the rematch. Michigan got Michigan State the first time. I don't think that'll happen the second time. I like Michigan State to beat Michigan 77-73 in a really tough game. That'll come down to free throws at the end, where Michigan struggles at the line, and Michigan State has the 2 top free throw shooters in the Big Ten in Miles Bridges and Cassius Winston. I like Michigan State there. So, the championship, Michigan State and Purdue. I think Michigan State matches up incredibly well with Purdue. I think it'll be close, but I think Michigan State will pull away at the end. I think they'll win the Big Ten championship 75 or 85-76. I think they'll shut down the 3-point shooting and take away Isaac Haas like they did earlier in the season. And I just think, they did struggle a bit from the floor in that game. I think they'll shoot way better. I don't think they'll turn it over the way they have. One of these games, they might have some turnovers that could cost them. But right now, I think Michigan State will be crowned your Big Ten champion, not only regular season, but postseason too. That would put them at 31-3 going into the tournament with 2 quadrant 1 wins. in Michigan and Purdue, and if that were to happen, it'd be hard to say that they aren't a 1 seed. You'd have to kind of nitpick to put them at the ones to put them in the 2 line, but I still think they'll be a 2 seed just based on what the committee has showed earlier. But they definitely should be a 1 seed, but they're probably going to be a 2 seed. All right, that is going to be it for this episode of the Is Owned by D'Antonio podcast. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.